to always be right. Love won't try to outshine your light. Love doesn't fight to get what it wants. Love won't hurt to prove its point. Love is so kind, patient, and true. Love sees you. Love sees you. What love does, it brings the fight out in us. We can move mountains if we trust. This love is bigger than us. What love does, it starts a fire deep in us, lighting the darkness, rising up. This love is bigger than us. Love always flows where it needs to go. Love always knows the things that we don't. Love is the key that opens the door. Love is the hand that always gives more. Love is so kind, patient, and true. Love sees you. Love sees you. What love does, it brings the fighter out in us. We can move mountains if we trust. This love is bigger than us. What love does, it starts a fire deep in us, lighting the darkness, rising up. This love is bigger than us. This is love.
I remember I first met Talitha about 15 years ago. I was sitting on her couch and we were talking because I was trying to find ways for our church to get further plugged in and connected to Claris. And what struck me about our time together, it wasn't just what she was sharing about all the different ways that Claris is serving people and serving this city. It was the why, which was informing the how. And the whole time we were talking, I just kept thinking, wow, that sounds very much like how I believe Jesus would be working in our city. And so I remember walking out of that conversation with really just one simple question in my mind, like, okay, God, so what's my next yes for Claris?
I first learned about Claris through the church that I've been attending for about 6 years now when I moved here. Our community group there has been working very closely with Claris and doing service projects monthly. So we've sort of partnered with Claris as Claris is kind of our baby, actually, if you want to call it that.
Claris is this place that stands out in the city. It's one of, I know, very few places that offer the services that they do. So Troop 2, the Boy Scout troop that we're involved with, is also a great organization, and I think it's just the opportunity to bring the two together.
For my Eagle Scout project, I was told I needed to serve a pillar of the community, and Claris was one of the first organizations that jumped into my head. For the project, we're assembling kits for underprivileged women in the area, health kits with things like socks and snacks and deodorant and feminine hygiene products, and as well as we're building a cabinetry system to store those kits and better increase the efficiency with which Claris can distribute them. You can really feel the love that goes into each and every one of those kits, and Claris is absolutely the conduit with which that love can be spread to the community.
There was a group of us who volunteered somewhat foolishly to run in the Los Angeles Marathon. A handful of us did half marathon, and a couple brave souls ran the full marathon as a fundraising opportunity. And it was incredible how many doors that opened for me to have conversations with people that I can find it challenging to bring into the Claris fold and get excited about the mission, because who doesn't want to support a non-runner attempting something so crazy? And so I was able to connect with a lot of the community, reach out to long-lost family members, and there were so many people who were excited to show up for me, knowing that I was showing up for Claris.
One of the ways I've seen Claris love this community well is Claris pursues people. It's one thing, and a beautiful thing when people walk in your door to love them and care for them. It's an entirely different thing when you go to the edges of the city and seek to move towards people that may not even know Claris has existed. And through the mobile clinic and all the work we're doing through our community partners, I see Claris saying it's not enough that people walk in our doors. We want to move towards people. And there's such a difference between serving people and paying attention to people. And what Claris does is they pay attention. They notice the whole person and see all the things that might be in front of them. And when you bring care like that, you're walking with somebody through difficult circumstances.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jessica Oyelowo. I'm a singer, a writer, a producer, a mother, and an advocate for mothers and vulnerable women everywhere, but especially for the wonderful women of LA. I'm a believer in the idea that you can thrive wherever you are planted, and here is where I am. I'm not from here. I don't know if you noticed. I'm not Australian, in case you're trying to guess. But I love this city of angels and all those who live here. I am honored to be your host, as well as a singer for tonight. And I officially want to welcome you to Claris Health City Lights Gala. Welcome. I'm standing here in front of 500 people gathered together to show support for this cause. And you're all looking absolutely gorgeous, I might just say. And many more of you are tuning in online, and I'm sure you look gorgeous too. I'm really sad I can't see that, but I will do my best to carry on. Thank you all, online, at home, and in the room, for your support and choosing to join us tonight. Tonight's theme is Perfectly Loved, a reminder to us all what is available to us and how we can give away the love we have received. You will meet many people who have experienced challenging situations and were met with compassion and hope. And as you saw in the last video, there is an army of people helping to extend this loving approach. This includes a special group of dedicated people who made tonight possible. Because of our ridiculously generous gala sponsors, every dollar raised tonight goes directly to programs. These individuals and companies have already donated $264,000. Which brings us more than halfway to our goal of raising $500,000 tonight. Come on, $250,000, let's do it. If you're watching online, you don't have to wait to the end of the night to give. Whenever you're moved, just click donate. Anybody moved yet? Have a think back over that video. No? All right, and remember, you can donate as many times as you are moved tonight, not just once. And I'm giving you fair warning, all of you. It is our intention to move you a lot, okay? Claris provides some of the incredible angels serving the people in this city and beyond. And their mission is to equip and care for the people before, during, and after they experience an unintended pregnancy or sexual health concern. Tonight, we're going to see powerful examples of how this mission comes to life. Claris means clarity or brightness, and this gala is called City Lights because we brighten this city and beyond with a very unique model of care. This is done with medical counseling, education, and support services at their locations here in LA, and with virtual services that are now reaching people across the nation. There is a lot to celebrate tonight. In the last year, we cared for over 1,747 women, men, and their families in our clinics in West LA, South LA, and our mobile medical clinic. The mobile clinic has expanded from 3 to 4 service days each week, allowing us to bring care directly to the more under-resourced cities and sites in need. Providing more than 5,200 services, including virtual classes, reaching people around the nation. We presented to more than 8,400 teens, young adults, and parents in LA through our sexual health education program called Reality Check. I am a mother of teens and young adults, several of them in fact, so I love that Claris's care extends beyond people who are in pregnancy situations. They focus on practical prevention with powerful presentations that address healthy relationships, the emotional side of sex, future goals, STD and pregnancy prevention, core values, media safety, consent, and so much more. Here is the Reality Check team in action.
Reality Check is so many things, but most importantly, our goal is to empower young people and give them the most information that they can have about relationships, about sex, so they can just make the most intentional and the most informed decisions. I never was told this information. This was never taught to me in a formal setting or even at home. It just was not something that was talked about. And that's what I always share with the students of like, I say this not because I just like know everything or I've been told to say this, but I say this because I am speaking out of personal experience, because I wish someone would have done that for me.
I think Reality Check is extremely important, especially for young adolescents, because it really does get that conversation started. A lot of our kids may not necessarily have certain examples around them. They're very easily influenced by things in the stage of adolescence. They're growing, they're developing, they're picking up on certain habits, and certain things become normalized to them that may not necessarily be the healthiest. And I think Reality Check really comes in and gives them the facts, gives them different concepts to really think about, and gives them an opportunity to really share their own personal experiences and things that they've experienced in their young lives, as well as giving them the opportunity to kind of have a different and better example of how their lives could kind of be.
When I was first being trained as a Reality Check speaker, I got the opportunity to shadow one of our teachers, one of our instructors, who was doing our parent talks. So this is a room full of grown adults who have kids, and one of the first questions she asked this room of parents and grandparents was, so why don't we talk to our kids more about sex? And there were crickets. Everyone was like, I don't know. Why don't we? And one brave grandparent raised his hand and was like, because we don't know anything about it. And it was such an honest answer. So not only is this information important for children and teenagers, but this is important to be able for the parents, because the parents are the ones who are at home needing this information.
We can lay out statistics. We can tell you what may happen in your future. We can get you to see the importance of your goals. We can get you to see just how special the life before you could be. But none of that means anything if you haven't first come to the realization that you are valuable and that value isn't contingent on or dependent upon anything outside of yourself.
It was really helpful to have Reality Check as a place to talk to, because it was really nice to be completely transparent with somebody, knowing that they were going to help you and they had no ulterior motive like a friend might have.
I didn't have the love and affection that I had growing up from my mom and dad, so I didn't make the best decisions. I had no boundaries. I kind of just clinged to whoever wanted to show me love, and being able to have these classes, really helped me establish new boundaries, notice red flags, and really, set forward in exactly what I want in a person.
Why not take on this great responsibility to speak into society, to speak into culture, to speak into the lives of the next generation, to perhaps point them in a direction that's positive, point them in a way that takes them away from the traps, the pitfalls, even the regrets that society is lining up to face. There's an African proverb that says, our children are the messages that we send to the future. So it's not just that we're concerned about sexual health and education, it's that we're concerned about the whole person. And when we come into a school or come into a group or come into an organization and impart those tenets and those teachings, we're doing the future a service. We're doing future society a service. We're doing future families a service by pointing youth in a direction that maintains those positive values and positive characteristics.
Hi, everyone. As an administrator at a school in the Pacific Palisades, I have had the pleasure of seeing the Reality Check program in action for years. I've been working with young people for over 20 years, and I cannot remember a time where there's a greater amount of misinformation inundating our teenagers when it comes to sexual health. Kids have an extraordinary amount of questions and are often searching for their answers in places that could not be more dangerous, unpredictable, and alarming. Moreover, parents are more challenged than ever for how to approach these delicate subjects with their children. Quite frankly, many don't even want to touch the subject. I've witnessed firsthand reality check programming and what it's done to impact kids. Kids are taught the realities of what they should be aware of as they encounter real questions regarding sexual health, and I can't understate how much they need truth right now. What I've experienced is that Reality Check makes a point of empowering qualified leaders with far more street cred than I, and you for that matter, who would know how to instantly build rapport and trust with kids. As they do so, they not only provide information and answer questions, but in the process end up truly helping teenagers avoid potentially life-altering and disastrous decisions, ones that could impact them for many years. They do all of this by simply speaking to them on their level, knowing from a heart and mind level what our kids need to hear. I would even go as far as saying it's what teenagers want to hear. It's the questions they are asking, but they don't have a place to ask them. We have to recognize the time in which we live and the importance of putting everything we can towards the education of our youth. That type of education that Reality Check provides is far too rare, and I'm here to push hard for a full-scale, proactive effort towards loving our children enough to give them the truth and tools they need most. Reality Check is absolutely an essential part of that effort. I'd like to introduce you to one of my former students who has experienced Reality Check more than most kids, Riley Phillips. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Riley. I've been hearing Reality Check presentations for as long as I can remember. In fact, when I was 5, I went to Uganda, and the Reality Check team presented a lot to the kids there. I was usually always in the back of the room while they were speaking, coloring, and playing, and I don't think anyone realized that I was listening, but I was. I would hear and understand bits and pieces of these presentations, and I'd write about them in my journals. But it wasn't until Reality Check came to my school, and then I was able to finally piece together everything that I'd been hearing since I was a kid. I began to understand and really learn things that I still carry with me to this day. When I was in 8th grade, the speakers asked us what we valued and then told us we needed to find other people with the same core values as us. I've carried that with me ever since then in my relationships with my friends. Every so often, I like to take a step back and see if the people that I surround myself with have the same values as me. And I think I'm a happier person for it. I have an amazing group of friends at school, and I've been able to carry many lasting friendships over the years. In fact, my best friend Ashlyn is somewhere in this room right now, and I never would have met her if it wasn't for Claris. So as awkward as the reality check presentations can be for a group of teenagers, I'm a better and happier person because of them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so good to hear from people who this is directly affecting. Unintended pregnancy is much more common than you think. Nearly half of all pregnancies in the US are unintended, which means it affects men too. Think about that. About half of this room may have personally experienced an unintended pregnancy. Yet it's something that we're often uncomfortable to talk about. And when we do hear people talk about it publicly, about unintentional pregnancy or abortion, it's often focused on laws or politics, not people. The result is that people in these situations often believe they are trapped, either by their circumstances or the opinions of the people around them, or feel like political pawns. At Claris, the priority has always been to care for the individuals and their families within their own unique situations. While Claris does not perform abortions, we are one of the only places that specializes in helping women, their partners, and their families know that they are not trapped. We offer medical care, therapy, mentorship, and we connect people to critical resources so that they know their life matters. We are with them as they wrestle with these important decisions for months and even years to come. Let's hear from Matt and Cora.
Life when we first found out Cora was pregnant, I was 20 and entering my sophomore year of college. We had went to Planned Parenthood just to give her a wellness checkup. We had been dating for 3-4 months. I went with her, and I remember she came out and told me, kind of whispered in the waiting room. I was in shock, and it's like, what? Still trying to figure out how to take care of myself, and couldn't imagine the idea of bringing in a child.
I was in track athlete. I ran track. I ran the 400. I was also kind of like scared of would I ever have a shot at getting my body back to where it was? Will I ever have a shot of even, I don't know, having a time fast enough to even qualify to participate in trying out for the Olympics? So it was like a lot of wonders, scared. I was just confused about what I was gonna do.
Well, when a patient comes to Claris for the first time for pregnancy, she's coming in, she's just found out, possibly just found out that she's pregnant. And as you know, a lot of emotions come along with that. And so we have the unique opportunity to just bring them in and give them an opportunity to tell us, you know, how they got here, what they're planning, what they're hoping for, and the questions that they have. So we first have a conversation. We care for the whole patient. You know, that's who we are. That's what we do. You know, we care for them. It's not just about their baby and the pregnancy and all of those medical things that we have to do, but it's really about keeping her at the center focus, her and her pregnancy, and being concerned about who she is, where she's at, what she's feeling, what she needs, and how we can help, you know, in those areas that she has the most positive experience for this pregnancy and beyond.
I remember what set Claris apart was the ability for them to like connect with the patient in a genuine manner.
It was a lot better than any other clinic I've ever been to.
To me, and imagine for you too, it meant a lot that we weren't alone throughout the process, that Claris offered us all these different resources for new parents. And that, to me, that was everything. That made them stand out in my mind because I remember after you delivered, they called Cora and just checked in on her, checked in on the baby, and just, for me, I was in shock that they remembered, they cared enough to call and ask her how her and the baby were doing.
They even were willing to help us with the small things, like they call to ask, do you have a stroller, do you have a crib, a car seat, diapers, wipes, just like the small stuff, which was really, really helpful. Pretty unlikely because most clinics wouldn't do that.
No, to genuinely care. A lot's happened since we first visited Claris. Our firstborn son, he's 5 now. We had a second baby who's 15 months. We got married, both finished school. We've been real busy and we just are enjoying life together.
We want people to know, especially women, to know that they don't have to get an abortion. That just because, you may not be married or have everything planned out already, you don't have to get rid of your child.
We feel strongly about the blessings that we've been given in life, and it's been 6 years since we first visited Claris, but it was just in our hearts to reach out and just see if we could share our story, that people who are going through similar experiences are not alone. Like people have been there before, and if you continue with the pregnancy, it's going to be a wonderful thing.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Lalita. I delivered my baby on February 19, 2022. My pregnancy was great, but unexpectedly, my birth was traumatic. I ended up with a 4th-degree tear and a rectovaginal fistula. Since then, I have had multiple infections and multiple surgeries. After my son was born, we never properly bonded. I couldn't even look at his face without thinking all of my trauma. I had a severe postpartum depression. I spent all of my day trying to avoid infection, and I didn't see any good moments around me. I was in and out of the hospital, leaving my husband to fend for himself and our newborn. And we both felt so alone. I was alone and scared in the ER, not knowing what was happening to me. And my husband, he was alone and scared at home with our new baby. All the physical trauma that I experienced affected my mental health. And after 3 months of this, I knew I needed help. And my doctors referred to me to Claris. For first 15 days, I would just, for every day, I'd dial the number and I'll just hang up. Because, I come from a family and a culture that believed seeking help for your mental health is a sign of weakness. And mothers were not supposed to talk about their difficulties, and we were supposed to be this superhuman who can do it all and do it all alone. But I was at my lowest and I needed help. And one day my husband, he dialed the number himself and made me talk to the receptionist. He was done with, and he made me talk to the receptionist, and she was so kind to me. She said what I needed to hear. She said it was okay to ask for help. And it took so much courage for me to start the therapy at Claris, but it was the best decision that I ever made. And I learned to manage my triggers and process my emotions in a healthy way. My therapist taught me to take small steps, to sit with my son during his mealtime and interact with him, to read to him, and to create a bedtime routine. And we even started going out for short walks. It might seem so little, but it was a big win for me and my family to get out for 10 minutes and breathe a fresh air. And therapy also helped my relationship with my husband. So today, on our 5th anniversary, I can say that he now has a partner who is more present, who's kind, and who can communicate better without fighting, I can't wait to see my therapist every week, and it's the best part of my week. And Claris has been my comfort zone. It's the only place where I can be vulnerable and not get judged. And it has changed my whole perspective. To other moms who are struggling, who have experienced any kind of birth traumas, it's not your fault. You are not a failure. It's not just in your head. It's okay to ask for help. And I promise I'll continue to work towards being a better version of myself. I don't know where I would be without my Claris therapist right now. So thank you for all the support and help.
Thank you, Lalitha, for bravely sharing your story. As the parenting coordinator at Claris Health, I have the honor of facilitating a program called EMA, which stands for Every Mother's Advocate. This program is dedicated to advocating for mothers to achieve lasting stability and connection with their children. When I joined Claris, I took on the role of being an EMA advocate for a woman named Colin. We met every week for parenting sessions. We worked together to address her needs and her self-worth, to overcome years of feeling marginalized. I remember the moment she teared up during our conversation about cultivating healthy relationships, as she herself was processing finding peace and strength to break free from an unhealthy situation. She is one of the bravest women I know. Colin was eager to learn, eager to grow, and eager to give her daughter the best version of herself daily. After months of meeting one-on-one, we excitedly celebrated Colin's graduation with other fellow EMA moms. Tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing you to this inspiring and resilient woman.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Colin. When I learned I was pregnant for a second time, I searched on Google and found Claris. Everyone I met was welcoming and kind. At my first appointment, it looked like I was having twins. I was not in good situation and was thinking of having abortion or placing my babies to an adoption. I had recently moved to America with my now ex-husband and 2-year-old daughter. My husband was emotionally and verbally abusive. He controlled everything, what I wore, who I spoke to, our finance. I wasn't allowed to have my own phone. At one point, our daughter was sick and needed medication. He refused to let me take her to the doctor. She was always crying and I felt hopeless and lonely. When I found Claris, it changed everything. I went for my second checkup and discovered that the baby wasn't growing. I miscarried. It was hard, but the staff at Claris really helped me. With that miscarriage and by joining the parenting program with Miss Bernadette, she encouraged me and gave me resources. She checks me on all time. I started to feel motivated and believe that I was going to be okay. Claris parenting classes have changed me and have taught me how to take care of my daughter and how to be strong. I also learned how to discipline in a healthy way and how to set boundaries. I never used to think I was worth caring about. But now, I'm trying to be strong. For my daughter, I recently bought my first dress with my own money. I wore it to Claris' parenting celebration and got so many compliments. They gave me a gift card to Target to buy more dresses for me and for my daughter. I have never experienced so much joy and freedom. After all my struggle, it's like a whole new life for me. There was so many people I didn't even know, but they care for me, were by my side through it all. Not only did Claris provide medical services and parenting classes, they helped me to grow as a person. Every class felt like a therapy with people who love me and care for me. My daughter is now in school and I have a job. I can breathe again and value myself. Thank you for all supporting Claris. Your kindness is helping mothers like me who are struggling. I'm excited for our future because we feel safe and I believe we will have healthy relationship as a mother and daughter. Thank you so much.
I had just graduated from college from Florida, and I'm like, let me take a drive to California. I took that drive. I met my partner, who I thought was Prince Charming, and life was great. I was working for a makeup company. I thought it was amazing. Then I found out I was pregnant. It was my last week at the job because it was just a temporary job. And I found out I was pregnant. He's like, I don't want a kid. You gotta figure out what you want to do with this baby of yours, but I don't want it. That hit like a brick. I was single, homeless, and pregnant. That was my story.
I first met Alencia in the fall of 2017. I was at a community outreach fair representing Claris, and it was an outreach event that was designed for pregnant women, and Alencia came up to the table, and to be honest, I was kind of surprised because she didn't look pregnant at all to me, and I thought maybe she was in the wrong place, but she came up and said that she was 5 weeks pregnant and she was living in a homeless shelter, and I was so surprised that she was there and seeking out resources, and I knew right at that moment that Claris had to get involved. We had to help her.
She asked me, how far along are you? I was so tiny, so petite, so frail. I was only 5 weeks pregnant. And Stacy gave me some information about Claris, and I'm like, there's hope.
That day, I connected Alencia with resources after she left the fair. I put her in touch with our patient advocates at our South LA clinic. She went there and met with them. She started taking parenting classes. She got involved in our birthing boot camp, started gaining access to resources. She was in a temporary housing program at the time. We helped connect her with more long-term resources as well. And I think what stood out and impressed me the most was just her drive. Like, she was determined to create a better future for herself and for her child. And there were so many odds stacked against her, but she had the most positive attitude, and she really just needed that extra support, the resources, and just someone to walk through that journey with her, and that's what Claris was able to offer.
Coming to Claris was the help that I needed. Every time I went to like a parent coaching meeting with Nikki, she's like, hey, you wanna go shop at a resource center? And I'm like, I'm driving there so I can go shopping, because it feels good. It felt very rewarding because, one, I was getting the education that I needed to be able to care for my child as my pregnancy progresses, but the more I went for help, the more resources I got. So I'm like, I didn't have to worry where was diaper going to come from. Like, would I have everything I need when it comes to like the baby, once the baby arrived? I was not pregnant and alone anymore. I had a whole support system. My son was born February 11th, 2018, and his name is Elijah. He's currently 5 years old. He's about to graduate VPK this weekend. I own a 3-bedroom, 3-bath apartment with my husband, Max. We met in 2019, like towards the end of 2019. We got married right away. We have a son, which is Leon. He's 3 years old. We currently have a 2-week-old baby girl. I currently work for a health tech company. I don't have to worry about where my next meal is going to come from. My kids are healthy, happy, and I have loving people around me who cares about me so much. Life is happening for me, not to me anymore.
I think what impacts me the most about Alencia's story is, even though she's an amazing, unique woman, her story is not unique. Unfortunately, there are so many women in our city who are in similar situations, who may be pregnant and experiencing homelessness or lacking support or just in need of resources. And I think what stands out to me is now, especially being able to see the transformation 5 years later in Alencia's life, is to know that this is possible for other women too.
My self-esteem started being built way before my son got here. And hey, look at me now. Not homeless, definitely loved by so many people. What I would say to someone who's pregnant
right now or is in a situation where you don't know what life holds for you and your baby, is definitely talk to someone at Claris. Like, definitely tap into the resources that are available to you. It's okay. Now you can be utilizing the resources, and then tomorrow you can be a resource to someone else. Like, I could not have connected those dots, saying, hey, I'm gonna go there, meet Stacy, do this, do that, and then give birth to my firstborn, and then think like 4 years later, my kid will be a healthy little boy. I mean, this kid is like super smart. And I look at him every day like, wow, would I have made a big mistake not going through with my pregnancy? So to everyone who support Claris, thank you. Like, I can't say thank you enough. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Can we please just have another round of applause for our amazing, brave ladies that came and shared their hearts. They made me cry. It's so easy to take for granted the blessings we have in our life until we meet people like them who have struggled with the basics of life. Thank you to Claris for helping women like this day in, day out. These pregnancy decisions, can we go back to the beginning of the thing? Thanks. These pregnancy decisions that these people have had to make affect families, even future families, like we saw with Alencia. And the truth is that they affect all of us. Some people in this audience have experienced a situation firsthand. Some have walked through a situation with a loved one. Some see the intense need around us and sense a deep calling to help others. You may be feeling that stirring in your heart right now. Here's some news. We have raised, so far, the clock is ticking, it's going up, $282,922.56. We still have a long way to go to get to that $500,000 target we have to keep all these programs going, running all year, every day. If you've been moved by what you've heard so far, and I know I have, let's pause and give now. No amount is too small. Please consider making it a monthly donation so we can sustain this work. For as little as $50 a month, you could make sure that someone like Colin gets the monthly classes she needs. For $100 a month, you can make sure that someone like Alencia gets the medical care and therapy sessions she needs.
Hi, I'm Stassi Schroeder-Clark, and it is an absolute honor to introduce the final speaker of the night. This is a woman who has seriously impacted my life, and it is an honor to call her a friend. And I'm talking about the CEO of Claris, Talitha Phillips. Okay, let me tell you a little something about Talitha, all right? She does it all. This woman, I'm pretty sure, like, she does not sleep. I ask her about this often, okay? She's been the head of Claris for 22 years, but she hasn't just been, in the office making business decisions. She's out there. She's connecting with the people that she's helping. She's collecting things for everybody. She's doing the physical labor as well as the mental load. And I've always been in such awe of her, especially because after she leaves Claris, she then continues to go and help mothers across the city by helping them in labor. She's a doula. She's also a sleep trainer. She was literally the first person I called when I went into labor. I told my husband, get Talitha here now. And she was the one that got me through the toughest times during my labor. And she's actually the person that taught me everything that I know about raising a baby. I don't know what I would do without her. And in fact, she should be here tonight at my house helping me sleep train my baby, but she's not. She's with you guys. So with that said, you should probably enjoy her company as much as possible while you have her, because you're lucky to have her right now. She's the absolute best. And again, I'm so excited to introduce her. But before we do, let's watch a little video where you can learn a little bit more about her.
So several years ago,
Some of our donors started calling the office and saying that they had seen a pregnant woman in Malibu that was homeless, and they were worried and wondered if they could somehow connect her to Claris. And we discovered that she had already come to Claris as a client and had had a really good experience. And so several donors would check up on her. They were giving her food and just trying to connect her. And I believe one day I got a call from the task force in Malibu. It was a homelessness task force, and they had specifically created a division that was keeping an eye on this young mom because they wanted her to deliver safely. One afternoon, I think it was a Sunday afternoon, and I looked down and I had a call or a missed call or a text, and it was from the sheriff in Malibu, and he said that her water broke along PCH, and they were trying to get her in an ambulance, and they were taking her to UCLA. An interesting turn of events, one of our doctors works at UCLA Santa Monica and was able to sort of oversee her case and make sure that she was safe. So it was a really sweet thing knowing that behind the scenes there were all these people that she never even knew, but that knew of her story and really loved and cared about her. So for a good week or two, I mean, every day was working with her. We coordinated meals that were being brought to the hotel, and just every day I could tell was a struggle for her. I went to the hotel to bring her some food and had some things to talk to her about, and she cracked the door open and wouldn't let me in the room for the first time, and behind the door I could see a shopping cart. And she said that she was going back to the streets and that she felt safer there. We had gotten her into a home that she could live, and she just said she couldn't do it and that she was sorry. And she ended up coming out of the room, and we just sat on the curb together. And I remember she wouldn't look me in the eye, but it was one of the most honest conversations I think I've had with somebody, where we talked a lot about just her mental health and just the struggle. And you could see in that moment, it was like a mom that did love her baby, but didn't know that she was okay to raise her. And so there was such this like war inside. So when everything was happening at the hospital and we were trying to help present some families for her to consider for adoption, I had sent a message to pretty much everyone I knew, and I almost immediately heard about this family, Matt and Nicole.
I first learned about Claris at a Sunday service at my local church, and Talitha was sharing about the work that Claris did in the community, and the way that Claris opened my eyes and my heart to see the needs of the community around me was something that really just changed my posture, I think, towards the city first and foremost. One of the ways that we, as a family, my wife Nicole and I, wanted to reflect our love for the city and reflect that heart posture of engaging and caring for those in need was to be certified as foster parents. And around the same time that we were certified, we got a phone call from Talitha saying that there was a child who was born to a birth mother who had been served and cared for by Claris, and this child needed a home. And then it just so happens, coincidentally, the next day we received a phone call from a social worker, a county social worker, that there was a child that needed a home. And we sort of asked some questions. Is this, we know about this child, we had some sort of knowledge about this child that was born, and some of the details are similar, and they said, no, it's not the same. And yet it turns out it's exactly the same child. So we said yes. And that child ended up being Bailey. Bailey was born in Santa Monica, and she was in the NICU, had some breathing issues and other things that were going on. The nurses there in Santa Monica, when we went to pick her up and meet her for the first time, were believers of all things, and they asked if they could pray for us. And so we were in the NICU praying for this little child. We didn't know what the future would hold, and yet we knew that she was there, Bailey was there, because of the work of Claris. We knew that Bailey's birth mom had been cared for and served and loved by the work of Claris. all in my heart, all I have for her is love and compassion. I'm grateful for her bravery. When we talk to Bailey about her birth mom, we tell her that her birth mom was brave. She was brave to bring Bailey into this world in a difficult situation. And so she is perfectly loved in God, and that is reflected in the love that people around her have shown her through Claris. We just play one role. We know that there's so many people involved. It's just loving and serving. And that's what I think that's what Claris does an amazing job of. It is an organization and people who just reach out in love, and then other people come alongside and reach out in love, and other people come alongside and reach out in love, and we work together to just care for people. And so I feel privileged to be able to be a part of that story and part of Bailey's story. Claris has been so significant for me and my family and our family, Nicole and I's family, because we would not have Bailey with us today if it wasn't for the work of Claris. And we are so grateful for everything that Talitha and the staff here at Claris did to serve Bailey's birth mom.
I think the thing that always struck me about this situation was that this was just one baby. And I do remember having this moment of like, pretty sure politically it was a very diverse room, right? And so if we talked about this situation outside of this baby and this mom, this might have looked very different. But for this moment, everyone was united that we want this baby's life saved. Little Bailey united all of these people and got them to put aside political beliefs or even differences to say, we just want you to be okay. If I could talk to Bailey's birth mom again, I would just tell her that, it's okay. I think in that moment I think it was really hard to say it's okay to make this choice because I wanted to fix the situation. Like I really wanted her to choose what I thought would be the best choice. But now, having years to look back, I'm like, I think she did choose what was best for her in that moment, and I would want her to know that everything's okay. Like, your daughter's doing so good, and what you did was an act of love for her, you know, and that she would know that she's loved still, and that it's never too late. My hope is that she would know that she's loved too, and that it's never too late. When I saw this video and I first heard those words again, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I think those are very likely the words that I needed to hear when I first came to Claris as a college student. See, at that time I believed that because of my own past abortion, among many other things, that a hopeful future wasn't possible for me either. I was trapped in this never-ending cycle of shame, but the staff at Claris and the other women in the pregnancy loss support group rallied around me, and they showed me that a brighter future was possible, and even more importantly, that I actually deserved it. See, Proverbs 23:18 says, "There is surely a future hope for you, and your hope will not be cut off." The people at Claris believed this over my life, even when I doubted that it would ever be possible. I had a birthday recently, and a friend who's in this room discovered that I have spent about half my life at Claris, which is really weird because I'm only 29, so do the math. But seriously, about half my life has been dedicated to this life-changing cause, and during that time I've witnessed so many stories like this that are so intense and so impactful that they literally leave an imprint on my heart. But there are also many interactions with people that I never get to meet face to face. I was at lunch with Dr. Jansen recently, our medical director, and she pulled out her phone and she had this huge smile on her face and showed me a photo of the cutest baby. And I had no idea, honestly, who that baby belonged to. And I'm a doula, so I see babies all the time. Even in my dreams, I see babies. Hear them too, lots of little cries while I sleep. But Dr. Jansen reminded me that the mom of this baby was her patient, and that when she was first pregnant, she was battling a very serious disease, and the father had left her. And She wasn't able to turn to her family and didn't know what she could do. And after one of her early prenatal appointments, Dr. Jansen asked me if I'd give her a call. And I remember listening to her story and giving her some basic housing resources, and then I hung up the phone, and I had no idea what happened to her until that lunch meeting. Dr. Jansen said every time she comes to a visit, she says to her, "This baby is here because of you." And it's not because she delivered her, it's because she gave her hope. See, Dr. Jansen isn't alone in spreading the heart of Claris in the city and beyond. Dr. Bob Hamilton, many of you know, a local pediatrician, he invited our mobile clinic to join him in bringing medical care to migrant workers in Oxnard. That introduction cross-connected us with Gabriel's house, a house for women leaving really traumatic situations, and now we offer parenting classes and reality check presentations to all of their residents. Rick Bromley served as board president, and he was my HR confidant for so many years. But Rick wasn't just an employment attorney. He approached every Claris situation and every person with incredible thought and care. And Rick's leadership transformed so many of our policies and our practices up until the day that he passed away last month. Charlie has created a program called Every Mother's Advocate in Florida, and when Charlie learned about Claris, she approached us to become one of their affiliates. Even though they were across the country, she knew that this relationship would allow us to equip more volunteers to teach parenting classes to women like Colin, who you met tonight, not just in LA, but across the country and even outside of the US. See, Claris's model of care is built on a foundation that every single life is valuable. And tonight, we've heard from people who were cared for in a way that is so personal that it helped them believe that it's never too late. This very room and these TV screens across the nation are filled with a collection of stories, many that intersect with each other. And the beauty of Claris is that it propels us to lay down our differences and just to love people. And it extends to every single person in this room, no matter where you've been or what you have done. It is never too late. And we need you here because in this city, a city like LA, our work is never done. See, people are navigating past trauma. They're dealing with housing insecurity, mental health, substance abuse, and domestic violence. I don't know, but on an average, when a person visits just one social service agency, they're given as many as 6 to 8 referrals for their complex needs. And navigating those resources in a city as big as Los Angeles without transportation or childcare or financial resources is overwhelming. If you live in South LA, the need is even greater. That part of our city is known for having the highest teen birth rates in the county, the highest infant and maternal mortality rates in African American babies and moms. And 1/3 of all adults in South LA lack access to health care. But there are also incredible strengths in South LA, like community, resilience, and the power of collaboration, which you've seen through many of the stories tonight. Well, the leadership at Claris has a incredibly strong conviction to formally link arms with other organizations and providers to combat some of these barriers by creating this one-stop community campus in the heart of South LA. Our dream is to provide comprehensive services by multiple agencies under one roof. We envision on-site coordinators that will help create these personalized care plans that will direct people to critical services on the campus. We're also going to have gathering spots like a coffee shop, safe playground, a basketball court, and free drop-in childcare for anyone visiting the campus. We believe that the campus will help stabilize and strengthen families and create a healthier, more resilient community. So hearing all this, you might be inspired to bring this campus vision to life. You might have land or a facility that you've been trying to get rid of and you just didn't know what you were going to do with that. Here you are, welcome. Or you might want to make a financial contribution or connect us to somebody in the city. But that campus is not our only vision. In the next year, we plan to care for 1,900 women and families with medical and support services. Reality check, you heard of tonight. That was my daughter who's been hearing about it apparently since she was in the womb. Reality check will reach another 8,500 students and parents this year. And our mobile clinic is going to expand to 5 service days so that we can be open every day and bring care to 850 people a year. And right now, you can be a part of the behind the scenes team that fulfills this vision. We call them Clarity Makers, our group of monthly donors. These are the people who keep the lights on. So we love one-time gifts, but the ongoing work of Claris does require some dedicated monthly sponsors. And here are some examples of what your gift can do on the screen. And you can also make a one-time investment of any size tonight to help fund the vision. See, if you're watching online, this is your one more chance to give, but don't forget to come back. You're not going to want to miss what's next. And if you're in the live audience, there are bags on your table that have giving cards or QR codes on your table. Feel free to grab those in a moment, pass them out. We would love for everyone to at least give us their contact information by filling out a card or giving online. And while you're considering your gift and everything you've heard tonight, join me for one last incredibly powerful performance and reminder that you are all perfectly loved.
Who says that you aren't beautiful, that you don't belong in your own skin? Who says that you're all alone, that you're never gonna find love again? So many little words, so many little lies that have followed you all of your life. Looking for the truth, look into your eyes, you will see he's been there the whole time. Even when you were running, even when you were hiding, never been a moment where you were not perfectly loved. When you barely believed it, when your eyes couldn't see it, every single moment you've always been perfectly loved. Perfectly loved. In the hands of the infinite, where the wounds of the world became his. See the kindness heaven has for you, that he's always been drawing you in. So many open doors, so many miracles that have followed you all of your life. Looking for the truth, look into your eyes, you will see he's been there the whole time. Oh, even when you were running, even when you were hiding, never been a moment where you were not perfectly loved. When you barely believed it, when your eyes couldn't see it, every single moment you've always been perfectly loved. Oh, perfectly loved. You're not a problem. You're not a mistake. Don't need fixing or solving in the arms of his grace. You're perfectly human. You're made from the dust, and you've got a heart broken and scarred, but it's perfectly loved. Even when you were running, even when you were hiding, never been a moment where you were not perfectly loved. When you barely believed, when your eyes couldn't see, every single moment you've always been perfectly loved. Oh, perfectly loved. You have always been perfectly loved. You'll always be perfectly loved.
That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Bookouts. What a powerful performance. And thank you to the brave individuals who have shared their stories with us tonight. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Thank you to the production crew. Everybody turn around, take a look. These amazing humans, thank you so much. They've been working so hard, perfectly orchestrating the entire evening. There's so much to celebrate, and we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Keep donating, posting, sharing. There will be a recorded version of this program available on this site within the next few hours. Good night, and God bless you all. To all of you in the audience, don't leave yet. Someone will be coming by very soon to collect your donation.